I am so excited to be chatting today with Rongrong Devoe. She is an uber talented fashion illustrator who took her illustration degree and her fashion design experience in New York and turned it into an incredible licensing brand. So I've met Rongrong in person at trade shows where she is doing live drawings of women, and it's amazing to see. You're so talented, Rongrong. So I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm so excited to be here, chat with you. As you say, we're matching.
I know, I love
funny
it.
is that?
So first of all, can you give a little bit of a background? I understand that you studied illustration and then worked in fashion, but can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you transitioned into working for yourself?
Yeah, I moved from Shanghai to US because I always want to use my art skill to do something I like, which is beauty and fashion. So I applied FIT in New York to study illustration, specifically fashion illustration. And then after I graduated, I worked for a lingerie company. So I design lots of lingerie on computer, but it's nothing as art you can draw on paper or be super creative. That's something I always want to do, and something I moved to United States for. And however, I would just I don't know if I can do this on my own, but life has another purpose, I guess. We moved to Houston. That's where first, I couldn't find a fashion job. There's no fashion job in Houston. And then my husband encouraged me to start doing this on my own because it is my passion. It is why I moved here to be an artist, to draw something I like. So I started 7 years ago. I posted my first drawing on Etsy. And that's the beginning of my art career. By no means I can picture back then it is what it looks like now. So it's just little by little, it's like a lot of up and downs.
Yeah, that's so, so the reason that I also worked in New York City as a textile designer. And the reason that I went into freelance was because we were moving out of New York and we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. So it was like, yep, there's no textile jobs here. So I guess I'm just going to do this freelance. And that has been what has started my freelance career as well. So I understand. Yeah. So you had an Etsy shop. You started with an Etsy shop of selling fashion illustrations.
Yeah, I started. I just draw some vintage inspired illustration. I post on Etsy 7 years ago. I don't know what Etsy also just started. So yeah, it took me a week to get first sale, but I was
that's pretty good. That's good.
Yeah, and it's shipped to Australia, so it's extra nervous because it's a long ship. Yeah,
that's awesome. So then from doing Etsy and selling on Etsy, then is that when you started to get like illustration, like editorial illustration jobs, like client jobs? And I know you do live sketch, or probably before COVID did live sketching events. Is that how you kind of made those connections?
I think it's all started from I posting on Etsy, and I start posting on Instagram 7 years ago. When I started, I getting people inquiries, and also later, after like maybe 6 months, I start getting company reach out to me, like if those fashion beauty company. They actually, a lot of things I've done, like live sketch, all that stuff, I have no idea. Is the company ask, can you come to our party to sketch people? We like your style. So a lot of things is come from the customer request.
Awesome. That's very high pressure. I mean, you're so talented. I'm like, I rely so much on the undo key, right? Because I do more digital, so I can always erase but you just draw the people. It's amazing how you do that.
But thank God right now we have iPad. So if you ever decided to draw live, you can.
Yeah, that's true.
7 years ago, Yeah, I just, because I know I have to do this. Otherwise, the only thing I know is to draw, and I have to make this work. So I just force myself to do it. The first couple of times was nerve-wracking to draw people and look at her. She's nervous, I'm nervous, so we're both nervous. But after a few times, it become more natural. Yeah.
That's awesome. So which one do you prefer, to do editorial illustrations or to do it live?
I prefer to do live. I draw energy from people. When I draw, we also talk, ask questions, story. Like those are more fun than editorial, and I don't really do much editorial. Yeah, maybe just a few times. And it's not. It's how is that editorial illustration? Especially for the fashion and beauty side, I think it's dying. I don't see many jobs.
Because I guess it's mostly like magazines, right, and stuff like that. So,
and they don't really pay that well, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So that kind of brings me to it. Was there like a moment or something that spurred you realizing that not only can you draw for makeup brands and whatnot, but that your art would look really great on products? Because I think that there's like people don't think about it until I feel like there's always a moment when people say, wait a second, like I see notebooks with art on it. My art could be on notebooks or whatever. Did you have that kind of light bulb moment?
Totally. When we first moved to Houston, we have an apartment. So I went to TJ Maxx to decorate my apartment. And then I saw all this wall art. I saw coffee mug, I say pillow. I'm like, how do I get my art on it? I'm just standing in the middle. I remember the story. I standing in the middle of TJ Maxx because that's like a high traffic TJ Maxx. People push their cars, like they asked me to move around, but I just standing there. I couldn't figure out how do I do this? How do I get my art on canvas like that and in a big store? And that's really like the sparkle moment made me to go back home and doing research to find out how do I do? And I even went to ask the cashier with my like not very fluent English. I asked her, how do I get my art into your store?
I'm sure she was like, I have no clue.
Yeah, she gave me her store and manager business card.
Oh my goodness. Which I'm sure that didn't take you very far.
Going nowhere. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. You know, it's people, we look at products all the time, you know, obviously we grow up just with stuff all around us. And so many people have told me, you know, all of a sudden I realized this could be a career. Like I didn't know, you know, like I have shower curtains that have designs on them. I never thought about the fact that someone has to design those shower curtains and that's a job for someone. And that's, like I said, I really love that light bulb moment because you just sort of realize like, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff with art on it. So what, you know, if you're talented. So
exactly.
Your art has gone from, you know, being featured. I'm sure you started, I can imagine you started slowly, right? As you started to get art on products. Now you're like a full on brands for sure. You have your illustrations are called Rongrong's Girls. And I mean, I've seen them on, you've got planners and lunch kits and mugs and all the things, which is awesome. What has shifted in your business going from, you know, when you first were starting with your Etsy shop to having, you know, end caps in Target? What kind of shifts has your business made to sort of accommodate that your growth?
My growth. I think that's another turning point for me is I've been always focused my mind to work with fashion, beauty, or lifestyle company to design stuff for them. That's my focus for the first like 3-4 years. And the turning point is I actually got a very big fashion brand to work with me. And then we designed like a app on the phone for my entire summer. I spent my time on it. But however, I create like 20 some illustration for them. And I really work hard because I think it's gonna turn out great. However, it didn't make to the market. It went south. So even though I got paid, but I felt like my whole summer was wasted. No one can see because I signed the agreement. I'm not able to release until the brand release. So I was just really just feel like what I'm doing with my time, with all this 20 illustration I create, I can turn it into more stuff and make profit from there. So that's my turning point. Instead of exchanging time for money, I decided to draw things I like and utilize the products to scale. So I'm not exchange the time for money. So
right, that's more scalable, right? Because you can, when you're licensing, and that's the beauty of licensing, you can draw one thing and it can be licensed to various categories and at different times. So then you can get paid for multiple times, right?
Yeah. That's the changing point. So that'd be like 3 years ago.
And is that when you signed on with Jewel? So Rongrong, I know Rongrong partially because she's also represented by Jewel Branding and Licensing. So have you been, was that like the time when you started looking for an agent, or did you already have an agent before then?
No, I signed with Jewel, I think it's the year before. So it's also a funny story. I went to New York. Was that called the Surtax?
Yeah.
Yes, I went to Surtax because I Googled it. I said, I asked, how do I get on? And Google told me, go to Surtax. So I went to Surtax because there's an artist that has a booth. So I went there to help, in exchange for the ticket to go in there. And then I was just, because I really am a fan of Isaac. He is also a French fashion artist that represented by Drew. I actually look him up. I see his agent is Drew, and I walk around the Drew's like booths outside. Like I just walk around because I'm afraid to go in and get rejected or something. So I didn't actually have the balls to go in there. And I just looked at, okay, so this is my goal. I'm gonna go home and work to get to Drew. But funny thing is, after a few months, Drew contacted me. I'm like, well, this is
that's face. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, is this the same Drew that I saw? Yeah. So that's how I get the agent.
That's awesome.
And I signed them the year before. Actually, the big global brand that I was talking about, it's also Drew is the middle person.
Gotcha. So, but still, as they were building your license, or they were showing your licensing around, you were starting to get royalties. So you were starting to see that it was possible to use your work over and over again.
They told me in the beginning, they said this can be be lucrative, but it takes a long time.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So I know different licensing people who have been, had success with licensing. So I've been licensing I always tell this story because I've been licensing for about 7 or 8 years with Jewel, but it's something that I focused on a lot in the beginning, and building up a lot of collections and all that stuff. But after a while, I started shifting my focus a little bit because I wasn't getting the pay. Like the amount of time I was putting in was not starting to pay off, So I do make money from licensing, but I don't make a lot of money from licensing. So it's a small part of my income. But I know lots of people I know some people who have all their, most of their income comes from licensing, which is very impressive to me. And but some of the people that I know who do that are sort of like from an older generation where licensing sort of used to have a big heyday. I think it was like, you know, you would sell your painting to be on a flag, and then it would be on a flag for the next like 20 years and you're still getting royalties from it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think, you know, now things have really changed.
Yeah.
And so, but you're still, you know, you're an example of someone who I imagine is doing very well with your licensing royalties. And so from sort of being a more like new licensing powerhouse, what kind of, you know, what would you recommend to artists who are just getting started in the licensing game?
Yeah, well, I have to go from a very business point of view. A lot of artists spend the time to like design, pick color, this and that. I actually will recommend the artist in the beginning stage to build a personal brand, to build themselves for their art. I mean, art is so like subjective. I like different art than you like. So there's no good art or bad art. So no matter what kind of art you have, you can build a brand around you, around your art, around your story. So that's what makes successful licensing is. I mean, for art, we say art licensing, that may not be a super powerful, lucrative way to go. But if you think about brand licensing, that's like Disney, they make millions of dollars. So think yourself as a brand, you are not selling art, you're selling your brand.
I love that.
Yeah, so from the day one, I'm always put the business first. Then you think to come up different art to go with your business. So that's my advice. That is
super, super interesting, because that is something that I think is like a missing piece for me is I'm not, the thing is, because I did 10 years working in-house, I was able to do lots of different styles, and I was used to doing a lot of different styles. So coming into art licensing, I have a little bit of a style. It's not like, you know, but I can do other things, and I like to do other things. So I feel like a very commercial artist, right? I do what needs to be done. You tell me, I can do it. I know the trends. I do know how to draw if I have the undo key, you know? But I wouldn't say that I have a strong art brand, right, at this point. So I think that is something newer artists get stressed out because they hear they need to have a style or they need to have a brand. And sometimes how do you think you find that? That's the question. Like, I think, you know, it takes time. So it's like when you're new and you want to know, how do I do this? It's like, well, figure out your style, figure out your brands. But it's hard to think of like action items around that.
I think instead of try to find your style, find your audience. Because the agent doesn't care your style. The buyer from TJ Maxx doesn't care your style. If you have the audience, they're gonna buy your stuff. Gotcha. So that's great. Build a brand, find your audience.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not stressed from a style.
I like that. So sort of the people who just love what you do and who you are and how you present yourself on social media or whatever, those are the people who support you when you have planner releases and all the other things. Not trying to see like become a social media influencer, but art, we sell art from as a story. So I always story tell why I create this girl. Like, for example, I have this pad in front of me, like why the story behind why I create them and their own like story that I come up with. So get your audience engaged with why you create this, the behind the scenes. Yeah. I love that. That's great. I'm like, I'm taking notes. So that's sort of, maybe this transitions into the next question, which is, that I really love that your illustrations represent all different body types and different nationalities and shapes and sizes and all that stuff. You represent more diversity than you usually expect in fashion illustrations, which are usually stretched out, long, skinny, white women. So have you seen a shift in other fashion illustrations as well, or just in general around you know, more realistic body types for illustration?
Yeah, so I got this, actually, I got this because I'm tired of saying all the other illustrator do. You know, we're on Instagram, I follow other fashion illustrator. Every time there's like red carpet, they will draw. And then I want to draw too. I feel like I'm being forced to draw because I'm an artist, I'm fashion illustrator. Okay, they draw, I should draw too. But I never feel like I'm excited to draw this like beautiful, gorgeous woman. And I just start to draw things that the girl next door. That's how I say about fashion. And I see different body type, different hair color, skin tone. Like me, I come from China, everybody looks like the same. But come to US, it really make me excited to draw all different object, like different style that make me really excited. So it's a personal preference, but also it's tired from the industry standard.
Yeah, well, I love it. And the great thing, besides having that kind of, you know, diversity in shape and size and color and all that, I like what you were saying about the clothing is so true. Like you come up with outfits for them. I mean, obviously they're wearing outfits and they're always very stylish and on trend, and they have sweatshirts that are like say funny things and just like your all the styles that they wear and everything is so much fun. So I love that.
Thank you. Empowerment, like yeah, I always try to make my, so I position my brand, our brand is like celebrate life, empower women, and celebrate diversity. So that's like the three things I always think about when I draw. I
love that. So I know that you are a newish mom. You were saying your son is a little over 1 year old, and I have 2 young children as well. They're getting older now, and they have smart little mouths. But I'm curious how having a child has impacted your business. Because, you know, there is so much pressure on like working moms versus like stay-at-home moms and all this different stuff. And I know that it was a big shift for me, and I'm curious how that went for you in the last couple of years.
I really think I couldn't do, I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom.
I'm with you.
So I just, from day one, I just hired a nanny to help with, because I can't imagine myself not doing art, not doing business. For the first 3 months, I really couldn't, because just everything is like, what's going on?
Yeah, and of course. Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't draw, I couldn't do business. I feel really depressed. So we decided to hire a full-time nanny to help with during the daytime. She will help with taking care of my son so I can do business. And after evening, I'll take care of him. I feel happier and more fulfilled, because my business is also feel like it's my baby.
Yeah. So, no, I'm the same way. I never,
I
remember when I used to work in an office, my husband and I would sort of joke around of who was going to be the stay-at-home parent, because we both wanted to like get out of our jobs, you know. And then I had a baby, and well, I was already working, I was working for myself, but then I had a baby, and I was like, first of all, I don't want to be home with this baby all the time. I love him, but I couldn't do it to be a stay-at-home mom. God bless anyone who can. And so yes, he went to daycare, and I continued building. So
yeah, daycare would be an option.
Yeah,
daycare would be an option without the COVID, we haven't
Yeah,
started.
exactly. Well, so that's with last year. Yeah, both kids came home for 6 or 8 months. And then I was really juggling because, you know, my husband was home too, but he works for a company and he had a lot of meetings. So if he was in a meeting, I would be, you know, with the kids. And so it's just juggling all, and that was just madness in itself. But I think last year was crazy for everyone. So
it's crazy. Doesn't count last year.
I know, totally. It doesn't. I know. I just like 2019 is what I always reference because 2020 is just too wild to compare to.
Yeah, it's crazy last year.
Well, so my last question is my bonus question. I always ask this. This is for subscribers only. And so you do live events, license, well, maybe not right now, you probably don't do live events, but in the past, licensing, commissions, and you have a fashion illustration course. We always hear that we need to sort of diversify our income streams as artists, as working independent artists. Is there one branch of your business that really brings in the bulk of your income? You can hear Rongrong's answer to this question about which of her income streams brings in the most income and how long it took to build that stream up to be so profitable. By joining my Surface Pattern Boss Toolkit, I have the bonus video and I have the link below in the description on how to subscribe to the toolkit for free. Well, thank you so much, Rongrong. So people can find you. I'll, of course, in the description, I'll leave all the links for your website and your Instagram and everything. And you also have a fashion illustration course. Did you want to tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about income stream, this is a growing income stream for me because a lot more people decide to branch on their own. Either they want to work with fashion beauty company or they want to have their own like brand to sell their own product or licensing. I cover how to draw human figure, how to color it, how to draw the fabric, and also I have bonus course about the business of fashion illustration. How do you get to work with Maybelline or Chanel, or how do you licensing, or how do you sell your own art on social media, build a social media presence. And this year I added to another bonus, which is how do you launch a sold out collection? Because I realize a lot of people may have Etsy or have their own little store that they want to launch some like art collection or something. So I teach them the marketing method to how do you launch this art.
I certainly don't know the method, but I have seen how you are very you sort of like slowly give little sneak peeks and stuff when you have something new coming out, and so that's really exciting to, you know, builds up excitement of what's to come and wanting to see all the girls and all the artwork. So I love that.
There's a method to underneath.
Of course. So, all right, I will put in the description the link to that course too, because that sounds awesome. And I'm so thankful that I got a chance to chat with you today.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
If you love learning about surface pattern design and creative business, be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram at esilverdesign. Also, I would be super grateful if you shared this channel with your surface pattern friends.